Hello people, I am Jaby KOAY, joined by Danni Wang and ACHARA KIRK.
Hello!
And we're gonna talk about Made in China. This will be starting out as a, I went into like a weird Irish or Canadian accent for a second. They'll be starting out. This will start out as a non-spoiler and then we'll go into spoilers if I feel like, or if we feel like, if we collectively vote. I don't think we'll need it, but I built it into this syllabus just in case. This comes from IMDb. Story of a failed Gujarati businessman who jumps into unknown world of China to get once in a lifetime business idea which will change his life, and Danni Wang puts her phone on airplane mode. Go ahead.
You see how smooth that was?
Did you do it?
Mention that? Yeah, I did.
This is directed by Moosa Raza. It stars Rajkumar Rao, Mooney Roy, Bhavan, Sumit Vyas, and Danni Wang. So this is a first time event on this channel where we actually have someone in the film while we review it.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad to be the first guest.
While we totally butcher her and all her acting. Just kidding. Basically, you have this guy who he's in a marriage with this woman. There is family that they're connected to, cousins and uncles that are a well-established name in the community. They're very well respected, and he has been trying to figure out his entrepreneurship in life. He's got all these different businesses he's tried to engage in, and nothing's quite worked out. And so you already feel for him right at the get-go of what he's trying to do. He's trying to find something for himself. He does, it's just not the most conventional thing. It starts to put him in a place where he's gotta keep secrets and whatnot. Along the way, he goes to China, and that's how he discovers the thing that he needs to do with Danni Wang.
Danni Wang! I helped the story.
Yes, exactly. I feel like there are philosophies that come up a lot in this film.
Yes.
A couple main particular ones, and this has been surfacing a lot in Indian cinema in general in the past, I'd say 2-3 years. Bhat Ho is another example. You're seeing all these stories crop up of whether it's, I don't want to say anything too dramatic. Get this, yellow icon,
they're
yellow
just
dollar icon.
Talking about things that have normally been taboo in society, kind of putting it out there, being like, why must it be?
Right.
Just challenging that.
Right, and making the conversation comfortable.
Yeah.
Making it normal and trying to illustrate to you, the audience, why it's normal. It's a little preachy sometimes, but I don't mind that. I feel like it's one of those films that sort of needs to be to make its point. To me, it veers into the realm of a little bit unrealistic to make its point, but I don't mind that because I understand what it's going for.
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy as well.
Yes.
Well, what I'm talking about is a serious moment, but yeah, we'll get into that in the spoiler section if we go there. The message and philosophy of the film is, when it comes down to is, there's nothing wrong with talking about sex at the end of the day. That's essentially the message of the movie.
In fact, it's so not wrong. It's actually better to get it out in the open and to talk about it and just be upfront and be like, we all do it. How do you think you got here?
Right.
Why don't we talk about it instead of making it all hush-hush and just sweeping it under the rug?
One of the big things that is pointed out is there's 1.2 billion Indians. Where do you think they came from, right? Like, it happened somehow. They all did the sideways polka at some point.
Immaculate conception.
Your ancestors. And so there's nothing wrong with acknowledging and talking about it. It only improves the quality of that aspect of your lives when you are more open about it, is the point of the movie. And I think it very well, it does a good job of illustrating the other side of like what they're feeling, their reluctance and sort of the backlash that you might experience, the uphill battle that people who are willing to have these conversations face.
Yeah, especially in Asian culture across the board.
Except for Japan. Yes.
But that's still kind of like,
they still don't talk about it.
they don't talk about
They seem
it.
way more open than other Asian cultures, but
It's like, we do this stuff and there's like a whole section of things that you can look at, or specific high-rise stores in Tokyo that you can go to.
You can literally go to a vending machine in Japan and buy women's used underwear.
That's true.
It's a totally different culture over there. In Thailand, you can go into certain areas that are like the red light districts of Europe, and you see, women or men in drag, and like it's a sexual environment and whatnot.
How much do you know about Thai culture,
Not more than you,
Jaby?
but the fact that you're not bringing it up, someone's got to bring it up.
That is true, but it's still very much under the rug. It's like, it's there, we don't talk about it.
Go back and watch one of my vlogs after India. Go back and watch that vlog and you see how under the rug that shit is. That's not under the rug at all. It's out there in the open.
But no one's talking about it at home. You wouldn't be having a conversation with your parents going, yeah, so how does it feel like to have an orgasm?
Yeah.
That's personal.
Yeah. I mean, okay, between a husband and wife, that should be an open conversation.
Yeah.
But like with children around, not so much. Like I understand. I'm confused about what you're advocating here.
I'm just saying, like, you know, being able to go to your parents and be like, you know, what's happening with my body, what's going on, is this normal, blah, blah, blah. I feel like a lot of people, because it's not so open, you feel like there's nowhere to turn to.
Sure.
Or you go to certain outlets where maybe you're getting some bad information.
Right, which is the majority of people.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Get it now?
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the acting. What was it like for you seeing your name in the film? Like when you're sitting in the theater, you see Danni Wang show up.
It was great. I was honestly like waiting for it. I was like, ah, there's my name. I mean, it's not the first time I've seen my name on a big screen, just saying. But this was cool because, you know, one of the Chinese names up there.
Yeah, I think you were the only one, right? Or one of...
Yeah.
Subit Vyas, I want to talk about him real quick because I've obviously been watching him for a while. His acting was interesting to me because it was the first film where I'd seen him do nothing, and I liked that about him.
Yeah.
Like there were instances where he was doing nothing, he was just looking, and I think that's really cool because my favorite performance from him, honestly, was in...
Ribbon?
Ribbon, thank you so much. That was my favorite performance from him. It felt the most real. And here, there are certain things, certain expressions he does a lot, and I could see him pulling back on that and not doing it quite as much, and just like looking and letting that be, the Ryan Gosling basically.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he was going for that because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to be an actor, someone says action and you just do nothing because you feel the compulsion to do something.
It's like, let me be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you see all this stuff happening with the PAs and all these actors, these atmosphere, background actors and whatnot. So much is going on, and someone says action, you have this compulsion to do more.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happening.
Yeah.
And to do nothing and just look, it's more monumental than it would seem on the surface, you know. And I thought that he was doing a good job of expressing that.
I was just floored because it was the first time that I had seen him as a bad guy.
No.
He wasn't.
No, you saw him in the Speak. What is it? Listen. Suno. Suno? Is it called Suno? Or?
You're right.
I was more uncomfortable watching him in that than in this.
It's a different thing because in that, he still had elements of like, I'm still being a good guy, I just don't know that I'm a bad guy.
That's what's so complicated about it. Yeah, but it was a short film about domestic aggression, basically. I'm not gonna say the word because I don't want this to get demonetized, but it was about domestic aggressive intimacy.
I liked his menacing presence where he didn't do anything, but he just seemed kind of scary.
Yeah, like there was this moment where everyone's having a celebration and whatnot, after Danni Wang is not in the movie anymore. Everyone's having a celebration and whatnot. Because I specifically remember when it stopped. I'm like, she's not here anymore, what's going on? Are we gonna come back to Danni? Everyone's having a celebration and whatnot, and I'm trying not to, I just realized I'm trying not to give anything away.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where he shows up, and the way he behaves in that scene is, it's like, taken out of context, you wouldn't know that he has got some kind of ulterior motive. You just look at what he's doing, but in the context of the situation, like what he was doing was actually scary. So I thought that was cool.
It's a great choice he made.
Yeah.
I don't think he was doing nothing. I think he just made a great choice.
Well, what I mean by nothing isn't like the absence of a thought or a feeling. It's more of that simplistic.
Letting your emotions and everything that's going on under the surface be without
Expressing it
outwardly
through your
expressing
face.
it.
Yeah, without trying.
yeah.
That's what I mean. And he was doing that really well. Bowman Irani, ACHARA, you pointed this out last night, was like the standout guy.
He was, and I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it because I love Rajkumar Rao so much. Every movie that I've seen him in, he's stolen the show.
Yeah.
And then this one, I expected the same. And then Bowman Irani comes on, and I'm like, you're the star!
He's
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah,
was amazing.
This was my favorite performance from him. I think,
Yeah.
like everything he was doing, I could see the nuances, the gradient, the
arcs.
levels, the arcs, and all that stuff happening with his performance. And I thought it was really cool because like you could see his reluctance, and without him doing much, you could see what he was thinking and feeling. There's a scene where I can't say much, can I? He's good. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, Danni Wang.
Hello.
Oh, Rajkumar Rao. Let's talk about Rajkumar before Danni Wang. I'm just like pushing this off, this nerve-wracking
I'll
event.
just be here.
Oh,
You won't even know.
How'd you feel about Rajkumar's acting? I mean, you were with him.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got to spend so much time with him.
He's a very funny guy, just normally.
Yeah.
So I think all his comedic instincts,
timing, yeah.
comedic timing was really great. Most of the stuff we just improvised, nothing like we pre-planned or anything.
Oh,
so
wow.
especially the ones that, you know, the scenes that we walk and talk and stuff, we just like made it up on the spot.
Yeah.
And we just did it like a take or two, and that was it.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it was
wow.
like super fun.
Okay, so I like Rajkumar's acting. On the scale of Rajkumar performances, it was on the lower side for me. That doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that I didn't appreciate it as much as his other movies. I've seen a number of his stuff now, and I'm like, I love Rajkumar Rao.
Yeah.
I mean, everything he does is amazing. Like, even in here, I'm like, I bought what he was doing. I just didn't love the performance as much as other projects he's done. If that makes any sense. It's still
No,
positive. It's
I-
just not like
yeah.
amazing positive as it was other times.
I think it's a different type of movie as well, and it's a different character. But I do agree with what you're saying there, that like I have enjoyed his other performances more, but I love the charm and the comedy and the cuteness that he brings to it, the awkwardness.
There was something in the pacing that was off, and I don't know what that was about. If it might have been the editing, it might have been the direction or a combination of the two, but there was something funny about that, and I think that contributed to my not enjoying his performance quite as much.
Right.
Because there was just sort of this rhythm that was sort of missing, and like I could feel like sometimes it was just going for realism. And I'm like, okay, cool. I see why there's this awkward pause, why there's lingering involved, but you could have cut 20 minutes out of this movie and it would have been way more effective. All around. Performance, like feeling-wise, everything.
I felt like I was on two journeys, like a journey in China and a journey in India. I would love it if they were able to blend a little more.
mishmash it a little bit
Their
more.
stories.
I thought they were going to, because of the thing that really propels the plot forward. I think you see it in the ad, but I don't want to say it just in case. There's a thing in China that propels the plot forward, and I thought surely that they're going to come back and revisit, and your character is going to be involved, and it just never happened. They was trying to do a lot in this movie.
Yeah,
So-
they had a lot of ground to cover.
Let's talk about your acting.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
I want to know how you felt first before I say anything.
You know, it's always funny because while you're shooting it, you're feeling this way.
Which way?
Well, I guess just the atmosphere and everything, and you picture it differently in your head. So how we shot it was like a lot slower, and we took the time, and there were just more moments being taken. But once, you know, after editing and then puts in with like scene after another, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't see it that way. Maybe I saw a little bit, but just like different than in my head. And it's always different than in your head,
Yeah.
right? You never know how it's gonna come out. Watching back at those scenes, I'm just like, oh yeah, we did that. Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember everything. But then at the same time, I wish they were just more like relationship based stories.
Okay, so you're focused more on the filmmaking aspect of it more than your acting. How did your acting feel for you?
Oh, well, see how like I focus more on like other things than myself. I'm just like so selfless. I think I did fine. I
Okay.
think I cannot watch my things. I would criticize myself so hard. So I'm always one of those people, like I watch back on my takes and I'm like, oh, I could have done better here. I could have done better here. When it's out and it's done, I just try to enjoy it. I love that like in one of my scenes, I felt like the emotion that a day I was shooting it while watching it. And I was like, okay, that's good enough.
Okay, so in terms of like the feeling that you were giving, I liked it a lot. I thought it was all very present and very real. That aspect of it I enjoyed. I like your natural accent. And that was the one thing where I'm like, oh, why does that have to be there? Because I just like how your voice sounds, like just you. And
I do too.
And I would have much preferred, because you, I mean, hopefully this is not like an offensive thing to say, but you do have somewhat of an accent already built in. And I think that it's nice and pleasant to hear. And I think that should have been used. Like they hired you and you've already got a nice accent. So that's what I would have preferred to have heard rather than this extra accent, if that makes any sense.
I mean, to be honest, I don't like doing accents.
Okay.
I love to just be myself for anything I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, it's much easier. I think my character is from China.
Yeah.
She works internationally with, you know, business partners and stuff, but she lives in China, so.
It was very confusing because like, if you look at China, Hong Kong specifically, like there's a lot of English speakers in China and Hong Kong. So I don't know. It could have gone either way. I suppose it makes sense.
For the sake of the movie, you kind of had to go that way to really, you know, differentiate and be like, this is a Chinese character and these guys are from India. So I understand why you would make that choice just to make it very clear. But I mean,
Well, the thing
I'm on your side. I do prefer your natural accent.
Well, the thing about it is you already had Rajkumar Rao with an accent when he's speaking English. I'm like, okay, I'm buying into this, but now everyone can't speak English that well. And I'm like, I think Danni Wang's character being this international product, this person who represents businesses like and is trying to be the CEO of this company, I think her character would speak speak English
I
pretty
think
well.
it would be believable
And
that
so
the character
that-
would speak good English.
Yeah, that's what threw me off. It's just a lot, I guess. But that's me being this ignorant American. I've grown up around Asian, so I can say what I want. Whatever.
I think they also just like the fact that, you know, we don't have a common language and everything's just physical between us.
I think that's still achievable, and I think you still got that. But there were moments where you guys were hanging out and just like being yourselves. It was clear that you were improvising and just having a good time. I liked all that stuff.
Yeah.
The party moments where like you went to the like a karaoke bar. That was cool. Like I liked all the things you guys were doing together. If anything, I wanted more of it.
Do you think you would have asked for like less of an accent if you didn't know me in the movie? You wouldn't even know that I had an accent or not.
I would know.
Yeah.
I would know. But the thing about it is I'm half Asian and I've been paying
That's
attention
true.
to that my whole life.
That's true.
I've just become attuned to hearing the difference between what I know is like a genuine accent versus one that is being acted out.
Yeah, I could tell too, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I would get stuff and they're like with a thick accent, and I'm like, how do I do that? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna study this. But it's not the same.
Sometimes it's stuff you wouldn't even say though. And
Exactly.
That's part of
Yeah.
the problem is like there are certain words that you would not use or would use that would communicate
Right.
the same idea. And when you
Right.
try to put an accent on top of that, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I get it. I empathize.
It's harder to get it nuanced as well.
That's what I'm
It's
saying, yeah.
super easy. I can do very bad version of my mom speak English in Thai, you know.
That's actually not that bad. That's actually
That's
pretty
cute.
good. That's the
She
best. That's the best. That's the
actually
best
sound
I've
like
heard
that.
Achara do. Because normally I can tell when Achara's doing an accent. That was actually pretty good. Okay, we'll go into spoilers now. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, get the hell out of here and come back when you've seen the movie. It's worth watching, and I really appreciate the film. I appreciate what it stands for. So I do recommend it. I didn't love the movie. I do like it, and I recommend it. So okay,
I
go.
like it because
You-
I'm in it.
Go
yeah.
watch Danni Wang.
That
Go
would be
on.
called bias, and I have none of that.
the last music video.
Yeah.
Why I thought they put it at the end. It's because at the end he made up with the wife.
Oh, that's right.
And they're all
That was another
successful.
thing. They never like showed that in the movie.
Well, that they showed it through the music video.
Ah, it's terrible.
That he has a nicer jacket now. He's no longer poor, and she's happy, and
Right.
she's in her little bra. You
It's a bad message. But they should have shown that during the film, like how he made up to her or how she came back to him and was like,
Yeah.
you know what, you're right. I was like not thinking clearly about. There could have been some kind of thing there.
I was just kind of a little bit annoyed at the wife. You're enjoying the new car, you're enjoying all this stuff, and then you found out that it's about the SEX thing, and then now you're all like, oh no, I much preferred it when we were poor. No, lady, you didn't.
Well, she lied. She's like, I've never complained about. I'm like, bitch, you complain about a lot of shit.
Actually,
Let's
yeah,
get the-
she
so-
said a few times
Yeah.
too, and I was like,
So-
when someone keep on saying that, that means they're being passive aggressive.
Right. For me, I liked the intent of the scene. I just didn't know if it was the best execution of it. Because when that scene was happening, I'm like, I know this beat. I know what's supposed to happen here. I know what I'm supposed to feel. I don't feel any of those things.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea of the scene and what was supposed to happen there. I just didn't feel it as strong for some reason. That scene with Rajkumar Rao in the school when he's like trying to apologize on behalf of his kid, I didn't like that scene or his acting there. Like it just felt like, it just didn't feel like Rajkumar Rao to me or real. I like the scene when he runs over his Buddha though. I thought that was great. Where he meets his the person who inspired him for the first time.
yeah.
And he like has, I just wish that moment was actually longer. I wish I saw a moment of like him almost giving in. Because I love the idea of the scene. Like the ideas in the film are so powerful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that you could tell the writer was informed by in creating this story. Did I get this saying right? Is it called Run Over Your Buddha?
I think that's a you saying. I've never heard that.
Or was it called Hit Your Buddha? What's
Kill
it
your-
called?
Kill Your
Buddha.
Buddha?
Yeah, is that what it's called?
I feel like you've talked about it.
But
Where you kill the person.
she's the Buddhist between the two of us. Like
Well,
I
I wouldn't never kill Buddha.
do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, this is like from a friend years ago, but it was from the movie Hustle and Flow, and he was talking about that because something like that happens in that movie, where it's basically conquering the person that inspired you. I don't know what the actual saying is. I'm sure one of you guys watching this would know and can tell me in the comments, but the way he phrased it was run over your Buddha. And I don't know what it's actually called. I get the idea, the intrinsic idea, and that's what happened here. And I love that. I just wish that it was I wish they cut out other shit and elongated that scene.
I feel like a lot of the thing with this movie is there are many great ideas.
Yeah.
Just the execution wasn't the best. And I don't even know how to say this would have been a better way of doing it. I think just the idea itself was so big.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around how I would try and express that in a movie.
The final message of the film was that this juice wasn't real, that it was all a placebo effect.
Yes.
And I actually appreciated that because I was having very mixed feelings about the message of the movie up until that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, so wait, what are you trying to get me to buy here? Like emotionally. But ultimately it came to most of this is psychological. I appreciate that idea because it is. There's a lot in there. It's such a nuanced and deep conversation that I don't have time to go into all of it. Anyway, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap?
It's okay to talk about sex.
Yeah, okay. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon so you get notified every time we drop another video. Check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media as well as our vlogs. Danni Wang is in the movies.
Like this one.
Yeah.